As you know, Russia has already started war against Ukraine by invading Crimea. What does Russia want? Russia wants to destroy the newly elected government of Ukraine, and Russia wants to get back the old political regime into Ukraine. The second thing is Russia also wants to take, or better to say, steal southern and eastern soils from Ukraine. And of course, all the civilized democratic world is against such Russian actions. But here, I want to talk about one very important thing. It's the Russian informational war that is conducted on the world basis in huge scale against Ukraine. Russia hasn't only started the real war on Ukrainian territories, but Russia also spreads huge amounts of misinformation and distorted facts about Ukraine all over the world, and this is called informational war. And this Russian informational war is aimed at destruction of Ukraine, newly elected government of Ukraine, and Ukrainian democracy, and getting back to pro-Russian regime into Ukraine. Frankly speaking, I'm personally shocked. I'm personally shocked at how many people believe into all the lies that Russia is spreading about Ukraine. A lot of people, including Europe and even America, including even CNN and so on and so forth, believe into all these lies, or at least some of them. So a lot of people still don't know the whole truth and believe into all this dirty lying and misinformation that Russia intentionally spreads all over the world. Russia doesn't only spread misinformation and lies among its own Russian citizens in Russia, plus among Ukrainians living in the east and south of Ukraine, but Russia also spreads all this distorted information all over the world. For example, first of all, I want to start from the following thing that really shocked even me. Russia is guilty in organizing pro-Russian meetings and riots on the east and south of Ukraine. And to prove this, there are facts that clearly show that it's Russia. Yes, it's Russia that brought its own citizens from Russia into Ukraine, and it's over 2,000 people. So Russia brought these 2,000 people into Ukraine from Russia, and their role was to organize pro-Russian meetings and riots on the territory of Ukraine. However, Russia of course tried to hide this fact, that it has brought all these people from Russia to do it. And this is just one tiny fact. Just imagine how many more similar or even worse campaigns Russia has organized and will organize. The next lie that Russia is guilty about is this. Russia still wants to make people over the world believe that officials in Ukraine, plus all Ukrainians, horribly treat Russians living on the territory of Ukraine. That all Ukrainians and Ukrainian officials prosecute these Russians, threaten and even kill them, and so on and so forth. However, this is a huge lie. Huge lie. And if you don't believe me, simply check yourself and verify everything yourself. Another thing that has shocked me is that some people in the West believe into charismatic gossips about Ukraine. For example, that in the newly elected government of Ukraine there are lots of fascists and Nazis. But I'm sorry, this is idiotic. Maybe you think that a lot of famous Western politicians come and work and negotiate with fascists? Of course not. And if you don't believe me, simply communicate with these officials, plus communicate with the Western politicians who have already communicated with these officials. So just verify everything yourself. Don't blindly believe into all these gossips and misinformation, and so on and so forth. So never believe anything without verifying all facts first. Another shocking distorted fact is that most of Ukrainian officials well, Russians want to make people believe that most of Ukrainian officials are extremely violent, and that these officials rob common people, kill and threaten common people, and so on and so forth. But I'm sorry, this is again stupid, crazy, charismatic, and is absolutely opposite from reality. However, unfortunately, a lot of people on the east and south of Ukraine still believe into all these stupid lies. Especially, it's true about old people who have no internet connection and who can watch only pro-Russian news. That's why, no matter how wild it sounds, but a lot of people in Ukraine still believe that our officials are extremely violent and that all they do is torture all common ordinary Ukrainians and ban Russian language in Ukraine, and so on and so forth. And this is again the result of Russia's information war. Because it's really a good thing for Russia to make people believe into all these dirty lies, because the more people will be scared of Ukrainian newly elected government, the more these people will trust Russians, and the more they will welcome Russians on Ukrainian territory, and the more these scared people vote for pro-Russian regime, and so on and so forth. So the logic is clear behind all of this. The escalation of hatred in Ukraine is also the result of this Russian information war. It's absolutely closely related. To illustrate, if you think that most people on the east and south of Ukraine hate other parts of Ukraine naturally, I mean, again, naturally, don't believe this is not true. The escalation of hatred between different parts of Ukraine is the result of deliberate, intentional Russian politics aimed at artificial inflation of hatred between Ukrainians, and this is horrible. All of this is aimed at overturn of newly elected government, destruction of newly elected government, and attempt to steal, take eastern and southern soils from Ukraine and put back the pro-Russian regime into Ukraine again. So, these are just few of the lies that Russia puts lots of effort trying to make all the world believe into. And of course, all of this is absolutely far from the truth. And if you don't believe me, please, always verify everything from the first hands and never blindly believe into anything. But again, of course, use only facts and true sources of information. And of course, don't believe the lies of Russians. Again, use only information from the first hands and from the true sources of information. Be careful and never blindly believe into anything, especially when I told you about the huge information war that is conducted by Russia with the intention to make Ukraine look horrible in the eyes of the world. And please share this video with your friends so that all people know the whole truth about Ukraine, so that all people know that Russia wants to destroy Ukraine and destroy Ukrainian democracy. We don't want bloodshed on our soil, on our Ukrainian territory. So help spread the word and help Ukrainians fight Russian aggression.